this person saved me probably from a lifetime of medication. I've gone to his grave before alone. No one's even known I've done this because I obviously went to his funeral. What I think might have happened, and again, dude, I'm not a pilot, but I've talked to other people, is the bird was flying. It was cold out. Remember I told you it was 30 degrees maybe. He was flying up here and then went over the lake bed, which is all cold air, and probably lost lift. Again, I'm spitballing right now, guys. I'm not a pilot. I don't know jack about jack when it comes to this stuff, but I'm just being told from other people that do have that kind of experience. Because remember, cold air sinks, hot air rises. And so he might have went over that area because it was like a big dip, went down and just lost lift and just nosed in. So yeah, man, that whole thing, I went to Mike's funeral and dude, it was just, life can be so fucking cruel. Like, dude, did I expect that? But let me, I do want to say something. And I want to say this because this person saved me probably from a lifetime of medication. When I went to Mike's funeral, Mike had an amazing wife, he had kids, an amazing family, mother and father. I remember distinctly at his wake after the funeral, his dad came up to me and he says, "Come here." And this is his father. He just lost his son. He said, "Come here, take a walk with me." I said, "Yes, sir." And
take your time, man.
It's to this day, it's so hard, man. It's really hard to see a dear friend of mine die like that. But anyway, his father just said to me, "Joe, Mike wanted to do this with you. You didn't force him to do this. And I know what you're thinking right now." He goes, "You need to get that shit out of your mind right now." He goes, "This is not your fault." I mean, dude, who does that? Who does that?
Can't even imagine being in his shoes. I don't even have kids. So
that's what I'm saying. How do you have the courage and the strength to just take somebody off to the side after you just lost your son and take the time to freaking say that to somebody?
Because he's a good person, number one.
Yeah.
And number two, he also knows that's the case. Yeah. It gives him peace too. And he does. I think the last thing, and again, I have been fortunate in my life to not have to sit in a situation like that where someone extremely close to me died like that. But I think that when you are in that kind of pain, as that guy was, and you were too, obviously, the last thing you want is the casualties of the war, that pain. You don't want other people to have to hang on to things that have nothing to do with them. Because I know that has to be playing with your mind all the time. That, oh, what if I had been second and he had been first? That's a human thing.
Right.
But you did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Life, this is where, unfortunately, and none of us have a good answer for it, life just fucking blows sometimes, man. Oh, yeah. And sometimes great people don't make it.
Yeah.
And
good people die. Yeah, good people die.
It's the cruelest thing ever.
Yeah. But I gotta be honest with you, dude. That was probably the kindest act in my entire life.
It's very cool. They did that at that stage too.
Because I'll tell you what, dude, I'd be fucked. I'd be mentally fucked right now because of the guilt. I mean, it's impossible to put into words, but just kind of replay what I just told you and imagine like the conversation we had. And anybody been in a helicopter accident? Like, you can't even make this shit up.
Yeah.
And 10 minutes later, I'm standing over his body because a helicopter crashed. But yeah, it was a testament to Mike's family and how Mike was. Do you know what I mean? Like, he was a guy that I try to exemplify. And when I work out, I told you his picture every day is in my gym bag, and it sits up right on my gym bag. So when I go get water, he's looking right at me. That's cool. And the reason I use him is, now I've weaponized it, is because every day he used to call me, like 6 o'clock in the fucking morning, "Wake up, Skippy, time to go to the gym," except Sundays when he went to church. Every day he called me. And I'd be just getting my lazy ass out of bed. And he's already at the gym. Do you see what I mean? So I took a very tragic, painful situation and weaponized it. It took me a while. Let me tell you, it took me a while, but it has served me well. And I work out now like I'm not going to make it home. And people ask me, well, who is that guy? Who's that guy? I said, well, it was a friend of mine. Well, why do you have his picture? And I tell him. And they're like, that's really, like, I had one kid, that's really morbid. I'm like, dude.
No.
10 more years from now, when you experience little life's shitty sides, maybe you'll come back and say, oh, I get it now.
There's nothing wrong
with
that.
No, not at all, dude. It's a tribute to him, and I use it to strengthen me because I do work out now like I'm not going to make it home.
I can tell. Christ, that fucking vein's been aiming a goddamn 45 at me all day.
But it's one of those things where I hope anybody listening, and I mean, look, dude, I'm not embarrassed to get emotional about this stuff. I'm a human being. It was painful, and it hurts right now just thinking about it because he was one of my closest friends, and he'd been to war, been to Ranger Battalion, SF, like he'd done it all to die. Like, dude, it's one of those things where I can be 99 freaking years old in my deathbed and still can't come to terms with it. But because his father took that 5 minutes probably saved me a lifetime of torment. Again, it's still emotional for me, but I can't even imagine where I would be emotionally if he wouldn't have done that.
Have you ever talked with his dad since then?
Once. Yeah, I have. And dude, I'll be honest with you. I've seen their family once. It's just, dude, it is so painful. I've gone to his grave before alone. No one's even known I've done this because I obviously went to his funeral, and it's one of those things where it's very difficult to look in the face of people that you've done. I hadn't done it, but I feel responsible. I've caused them so much pain. It's hard to even look at them. Knowing it's not my fault. I don't know how to
cause, but
right,
you didn't.
You know what I mean? But in my mind, like if I could rewind it, dude, I would have got on second. Like seriously, if God would have said, Joe, here's what's about to happen.
Of course.
This plane's going to crash. Either you or your butt. Send him first.
Send me on, yeah.
I would have, you know what I mean? Like, so like, it's very, very difficult to experience that. And I'll be honest with you, man, of course I've talked to people about this. Yeah. Did I talk to somebody, a professional about it? Yeah, I sure did.
Good.
You know? Oh yeah. And for those of you listening right now, let me just give you a little word of advice. Don't be that person. And I'm strong enough. You know what? You're a human freaking being. Okay. You're not a robot. We're not artificial intelligence. We have emotions. Okay. When you experience something, whatever it is that is that emotionally wrecking and you can't handle it, I highly suggest you go talk to somebody. Yeah, maybe family members can help you with it. Maybe. It wasn't helping me. It just wasn't, you know, and I talked to Dale about it, and you can ask Dale when you talk to him. It put the kibosh to him to think about it. They're literally to flip coins, you know, like you go or me, he'd be dead. He'd be dead. It would have been his funeral. And I'm sure he'll tell you his version on it. And Dale's a tough son of a bitch, dude.
Yeah, he is.
Okay? He's physically and mentally one of the strongest men I know. And you ask him about that and see what he says. Because believe me, I've had many a conversation with him alone. I visited him down in Florida, and we talked about it. And he gets kind of pale-faced talking about it. You know, it's a very scary event that happened where literally the flip of a coin, you lived or died, you know? Yeah. And so,
I mean, anyway, think about the context of your whole career though, too. How many, I can't imagine sitting in your seat, being all the places you were. Like this is one obviously where you lost someone after your career too. I mean, it's not on the battlefield either, but let's put them all together for a second. All the bullets that whizzed by your head that could have been 2 inches this way or 2 inches, sure, you know, the other way, and things are different, or the bullets that didn't whiz by a friend's head that took them out. Because last time you talked about guys you lost along the way in your career, and that bothers you every bit as much. It's like, you know, I can't imagine dealing with the gravity of it, but as someone who's not dealing with it and gets to hear someone like you from the outside talk about this, I hope you understand, like, it's very clear to me, you did everything you did in your career and in life at full force with your full heart behind it for the guy next to you, and you've come out to be able to talk about this now and be alive and have every limb, and that's a beautiful thing. But, you know, the people you lose along the way, I can't imagine what that pain is. But that's not on you.
Yeah,
it's not. And I'm sure that had, as you've laid out, it keeps you up at night sometimes thinking about, well, what if it were me or whatever. But, you know, the best you can do is live your life to be an example to others and also make those people proud. And you're doing that.
Yeah. I
That's
appreciate
what matters.
that, man. Yeah. I try to honor guys that I've lost, friends of mine I've lost, Mike, and just living the best life I can. And just cause that's what they would want, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I've literally gone to the gym, no joke, with a kidney stone and puking in the garbage can. Dude, I'm not kidding.
I believe you.
Yeah. And like, I've been very, very lucky that demon that I had on my shoulder was removed by his father, because I'm here to tell you, bro, it was overpowering. Like, I can't even, it was like I was walking around in a cloud. Like, I couldn't focus on anything except guilt. Guilt. Like, he had 5 kids. Like, matter of fact, when I went over to his body, there was a couple things. He had a radio on him that was broken. I kept that, and I kept one of his shoes. But one of the other things that I kept, and I found a shirt, because his shirt had been torn off in his jacket, but was this thing that his son made. I think it's like a 1-year-old or 2-year-old son. I can't remember, but it was like these little chits, good for one hug, good for dude. Oh my God. It was just, it would stop a Mack truck in its tracks. It was so bad. I saw it laying there and I'm like, I'm keeping this. So I have his shoe, the radio, and those notes from his son. And I have them in a very special place. I don't look at it often, but sometimes when I need realigned perspective, like, hey, get your fucking head out of your ass and quit feeling sorry for yourself. Nobody knows where it's at in my home, and no one's going to know. But I'll go look at it, and it's like instantaneous, like a light switch. Click. Yeah, instantaneous. In a split second, it happens. And I'm glad I kept it, because it is a physical thing that I can touch and see.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, one of the things that was bothering me, even to this day, and not all the time, but like sometimes when I smell gasoline,